right, so I just stumbled across this video, Why Americans Can't Keep Their Paychecks by CNBC, and I want to watch this one and talk about it. So let's dive in.
More than half of Americans with an income of $100,000 a year or higher say they're living paycheck to paycheck. This may be the result of a sneaky behavioral phenomenon called lifestyle creep.
Yeah, right off the bat, I 100% agree with this. I think the common narrative right now is that inflation is the biggest driver for causing people to live paycheck to paycheck. And yeah, inflation sucks. It's making a lot of things overpriced compared to current wages. I'm not denying that, but I think lifestyle creep is the biggest issue here. I think in general, people just aren't super conscious about their budgets, about their finances, and it can get out of hand really quickly. So I agree. I think lifestyle creep is a big issue here.
Lifestyle creep is the common pattern of making a little more money and starting to spend a little bit more money. It happens almost automatically.
I think people hold these benchmarks in their mind. If I reach this position or I get this promotion or I make it to this age, then I can live this life, or then I deserve to have these things. And then they kind of go a little crazy or go a little wild on it. And then it becomes like a trade-off. Like they only can enjoy their present happiness and they're not able to save or plan for the future.
Yeah, but in a lot of cases, I don't even think it's that conscious of a decision. I think, again, like I just said, I think people aren't really paying attention to what they're spending money on. They're working hard, they get a raise, they don't readjust their budget, and that money just kind of goes. It's kind of automatic or subconscious. There's definitely people who get raises and think they deserve nice stuff, and then they go out and consciously spend more money. But I think there's a lot of people out there who would say, I don't really spend that much money on myself, who are still suffering from lifestyle creep and don't have any money left over at the end of the month.
There's nothing wrong with wanting nice things. The mental, emotional reason why we want to acquire more is generally rooted in this need for your perceived value. Like we live in a world where the nicer car you drive, the higher your perceived value is.
Yeah, and I think she's right. I'm not trying to disagree with everything she's saying, but on top of that too, I think that a lot of people are feeling a void in life. They're not feeling fulfilled, and they're trying to use buying nice things as a way to get that initial dopamine hit and try to fill that void. And it might feel good in the short term, but in the long term, it's just going to leave you feeling empty like you were before. So yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to impress others, but I think a lot of people are just trying to make themselves feel better because of their own internal insecurities. So there's definitely a big internal aspect to it as well.
Say you get a new job and you have a little bit of a pay bump. Suddenly there's a little more room in your budget. Maybe you do some small upgrades, like you eat out rather than cook at home, or buy those Taylor Swift tickets, or upgrade your music subscriptions. Anything like that is an example of lifestyle creep. It's just these little upgrades that are very hard to undo financially or even psychologically once you've made them.
Yeah, the psychological aspect is huge there. Once you're accustomed to eating out 4 times a week, or once you're accustomed to your subscriptions that give you any music you want, or you upgrade to your new car that you don't have to worry about breaking down and it's super reliable and it's fast and it's fun. Once you've made that psychological change, it's really hard to take your brain and put it back to where you were before. Because a lot of these changes actually are super easy to make logistically. For Spotify, you just go and cancel that. For eating out, you just stop and you cook at home. For a car, you kind of have to go through the steps of selling that. And if you financed it, then that may be tricky. But a lot of these changes can be made very easily, logistically, but psychologically, it's really hard and it's almost torture for the brain to make this.
A lot of people have this scarcity mindset around money, and they spend so much of their lives saving. And so there can be this point where if you're constantly saving your whole life and then you finally reach this marker of financial success, or you finally reach this big paycheck number, you feel like you finally deserve to enjoy your life.
The idea that people save and they just hit a point where they feel like they deserve it, I fully disagree with that. Most people don't have $1,000 in the bank. Most people cannot handle a tire blowout, or they're gonna put it on credit. There's no financial literacy, no financial education that happens. The average person does not think about lifestyle inflation at all. I think it's something that's not even on the average person's radar.
Amen. That's all I have to say to that. Nothing to add. You should definitely have a balance between having fun and being responsible in your life. Everyone's trying to find the best balance for them. I don't think anyone does it perfectly. Some people save too much. Some people spend too much.
I was 19 years old when I entered my first corporate job. I was still figuring out how to adult as well as how to be in this, corporate world, make an income, which for sure led to overspending. I was sad, so I would shop. I was getting serotonin through shopping. Then that led to me accumulating over $30,000 of credit card debt. And I had to figure out how the heck I was going to pay that off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and this is why I don't love credit cards. I have them. I'm not completely anti-credit card. They're good for building credit, but they're just so dangerous, especially for someone who's young, who doesn't know what they're doing. I don't want to take all of the accountability away because you've got to know better, but there's a lot of young, impressionable people out there that are totally just being taken advantage of. So that's a whole separate topic. We could talk about that for an hour, but
I generally like to think of lifestyle inflation in sort of two buckets. You have like your general idea of what lifestyle inflation is, which is the buying fancy cars, the buying nice things along those lines. And then there is lifestyle creep that's more like regular everyday things that if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're going without, like going to the dentist, getting oil changes on your car, right? There was a time in my life when oil change was just like not even a priority. Like I'm trying to keep tires on my car. I'm trying to keep it running. I'm trying to keep the registration paid. I'm not concerned about an oil change, right?
Oh, but the oil change, that should be, I would get an oil change before I got new tires. I get like, you want to have new tires to make sure your car's safe to drive, but you don't change your oil, you're going to blow out your engine. That's going to be expensive. I get her point though.
More than 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck as of September 2023. That, along with inflation, can have serious financial consequences. Many Americans also don't have emergency savings to fall back on. 63% of workers say they wouldn't be able to cover a $500 emergency expense.
Yeah, and this takes me back to credit cards. So here's the problem, is people don't have enough money to cover expenses. I have $500+ emergencies pop up multiple times a year. So I don't know what these people are doing. I think the solution for a lot of people is, since they don't have the cash, they have credit cards, and then they put these emergencies on credit cards, get further into credit card debt, and then the problem just compounds and compounds. So another reason I don't love credit cards is because people use them as a fallback, and then they get themselves in a lot of trouble.
46% of Americans said they have a balance on their credit card because of an emergency expense, according to a creditcards.com survey. 10% coming from car problems, 11% to cover unexpected medical bills, and 10% for home repairs.
Because of inflation and higher prices nearly across the board, people have been having a harder time making ends meet, and often that means turning to credit cards to fill in the gap between what you need to buy and what you can actually afford. Credit card rates are over 20%. That's the highest interest that you'll likely find anywhere unless you're getting a payday loan.
20% interest is absolutely lethal. That will absolutely wreck your finances. There's really no investment vehicle that's going to consistently allow you to out-earn 20% interest on any credit card debt you have. Don't have credit card debt.
The solution to get what you need when you're in a position when you don't have it really is to just make more money. It sounds like a simple solution, but it also sounds like a condescending one, right? You tell somebody who like is doing the best that they can that like they need to make more money. The solution to make more money isn't really realistic.
I definitely get what she's saying to a point, but these are almost two separate categories. The category where you're not making enough to make ends meet, you can't put food on the table. To me, that's a very different scenario than someone who's making over $100,000 a year and is living paycheck to paycheck. The person making six figures can still put food on the table. They can still cover their basic necessities. It's just that due to all their increased lifestyle spending, they don't have any money left over at the end of the month. For them, they probably don't need the advice to go make more money. They can, if they want to hustle on the side, get another job, then that's great. But they could probably just cut out a lot by budgeting and spending less on areas. Yeah, if someone's really just struggling to put food on the table and they have a lower income in a very positive, uplifting way, yeah, their priority should 100% be making more money, educating themselves, getting certified to jump into a career that can pay more money.
The experts that I talked to said it's okay to treat yourself as long as you've built in a buffer in case something comes up. You want to be able to find that balance between enjoying your life and your emotional well-being and your financial well-being.
I 100% agree. The reason I'm so passionate about personal finance, why I became obsessed with it for myself, and then why I want to talk about it to other people is because taking care of your personal finances and setting them up will allow you to live the life you want and do whatever you want. The point of personal finance isn't to stress and hoard and just invest money just for the sake of having the biggest number you can in your account. It's so that you can build your finances and you can build your life into the life that you want. So again, it's all about finding that balance of finding the version of you that makes you the happiest and also having the financial stability to be able to support that.
My way of saving it was to hoard it.
And the tough part is that saving for the sake of saving, it's not very reinforcing, but it can kind of be addictive, and there's momentum in that.
Oh, I love saving and investing. That's like, I get more of a dopamine hit from putting money in the stock market than I do from going to the store and buying something cool. I love it. Maybe I'm a freak. Maybe I have an unhealthy relationship with that. But just start investing super small bits. Do like $10 a month. If you try to go and invest thousands of dollars every month, it's going to stress you out. You're going to get overwhelmed. Just start small. Start with like $10. Figure out what you're doing. Figure out what investments are best for your plan. And you will get hooked to it and you'll start investing more and more. $10 isn't going to be enough for your whole life, obviously, but it's just about building the muscles and building the habit. For sure.
Just going to that extreme. It does take a lot of, I don't know, a lot of joy from just life and always being in this scarcity mindset when there isn't necessarily scarcity to fear. After working with a wealth coach, I continued to save because I was still very kind of would put me at ease in that scarcity mindset. Like I felt at ease having kind of my savings. I continued to save money, but in a more intentional way.
Yeah, I totally get what she's saying. I think a little bit of a scarcity mindset is okay, right? You want to take the money that's coming in. You want to manage it well. You don't want to blow it. So I think a little bit of scarcity is fine, but I totally get what she means. You don't want to be so stressed out, so worried about money, and have such a strong scarcity mindset that you're just hoarding money, investing it, and stashing it away for no reason at all. Instead, you should think about what life you want to live, what your goals are, and then intentionally take a set percentage of your income and invest and save towards those goals.
Value-based spending is what I teach, and it's where you sit down and you really evaluate, one, where am I spending my money right now, and am I being reactive or am I being proactive in that? Am I spending my money in places that really have value for me, or am I spending my money in places that I think I should be spending my money because of outside influences? And once you have an idea of where your money is going right now and looking at, am I aligned with this? Is this something that I actually value?
Yeah, that takes us back to the beginning. I don't think a lot of people are consciously thinking about their spending. I don't think they're going out and thinking, oh, I'm going to blow my whole paycheck on this because it's fun and I don't care. I think it's very unconscious. I think it's just the way that we've been programmed and conditioned to handle our money. There's not a lot of financial literacy out there. And if you don't have a good grasp of your money and where it's going, it's going to find a way to flow out. But anyway, that's going to do it for the video today. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Why do you think Americans have such a hard time getting out of the paycheck to paycheck trap? Definitely curious to know what your thoughts are. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the like button as well. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.